Hi everybody, my name is Heather Cruz. I am the author of The Widow Next Door, which is a story of my life and my journey after losing my husband to suicide and ultimately becoming a single mother at 28 years old. So I'm going to read you a little bit of what I've been working on and a little bit of the intro into my life. So here we go. 6 days after his death, we celebrated his life with what I would consider a rather traditional funeral. The night before, I had my own private viewing. My parents, one very close friend, and I were the only ones in attendance. I remember being in a fog walking into the building. It still wasn't real. I took a deep breath. I walked in and came face to face with a large, beautiful canvas of his portrait. Suddenly, the pain became unbearable. There he was, exactly as I remembered him. I attempted to regain some composure and was instructed that as I walked into the next room, I would turn right and walk all the way through to the casket. I remember the first sight of it, but I can't remember how quickly I walked up to it. The rest is very much a blur. I screamed. I cried. I talked to him. I asked for a step stool to get closer to him. I cried on his chest, leaving tear stains on my favorite sweater vest that I decided to bury him in. I finally understood what people meant when they go into a funeral and they say, "He looked so good." He looked like the Alex I knew and loved. Besides being dead, you'd never know that he'd been shot. I held his foot. His ice-cold body felt good against my migraine-ridden head. I can still close my eyes and almost feel the moment that I laid my head on him. I even took photos of him. I still don't know why. I can't explain it. I can't remember anything that I said to him. I'm sure there was, "How am I supposed to live without you?" Or "It wasn't supposed to be this way." I've been told that most of my speaking was incoherent through the tears. I left there knowing the horror the next day would bring. The next morning, a limo would be waiting to take me to my husband's funeral. I was 28 years old, married for only 4 years, and had just had a baby. How could this possibly be happening to me? Well, it did. I survived those days somehow, and I vowed that I would continue. I had been pushed kicking and screaming into a life I didn't want, a life of widowhood. I had a 7-month-old baby and decided that I would not die with him. I would give her the life she deserves, even having such an unfair start. She had only one parent now, and she truly needed me. The next day, everything was done. The funeral was over. His body was laid to rest. Everyone was leaving, and somehow I was starting my new life. In the weeks to come, I was amazed that I was actually out of bed and dressed and functioning. So maybe I was wearing track pants and a t-shirt and probably hadn't showered in 2 days or more. However, I was standing, I was walking, I was eating and drinking and going to work, taking care of my daughter. I was doing the things that I had to do. And I could only explain it by saying, I don't have a choice. My husband chose death, and I choose life. Although I had only been existing at the time, I still chose life. I started the journey saying, I don't know how to live without him. And the truth is, I didn't. I always knew that I physically could, but mentally, my husband, partner in life, love of my life, father of my child, was gone. And he's not coming back, no matter how much I wanted him to, and even if he wanted to. Do I even need to mention that he chose this? That is a lot to swallow when I woke up every morning to the same nightmare that was my life. I always wondered how people go through such a life-altering tragedy and go on. But here's the answer. You just do. The baby needs a mother. The pets need to be cared for. The bills needed to be paid. And I was left to do it. so I did. I needed a way to heal, to grieve, to get the demons out of my head, to make something positive from the trauma I had been handed. And that was the start of my blog, The Widow Next Door. Thanks for watching.